You're with Julian on the Brown Notes and a review of the latest album by Puerto Rican superstar Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, aka Bad Bunny, and my encyclopedic knowledge of Latin music. I'm not saying Latinx. Does anyone in Latin America actually use that outside of like picture journalists in America? I'm sort of a latecomer to the whole urban Latin thing. It is the only non-English language music force that has ever rivaled English language music. Certainly by modern standards. Some, I think, like Ozuna has had something like the most billion viewed YouTube videos of any artist in the world. This guy, the most streamed artist on Spotify for 2 years straight. I do wonder whether some of that's to do with how music is listened to. I think a lot of people in Latin America do listen to music on their phones and stuff like that. So I wonder if that contributes to it. But there's no denying, this guy's had the first ever Billboard #1 album, all in Spanish, and followed it up with this album, which was the largest Billboard #1 so far this year, I believe, until the next album I'm going to review from Kendrick. So I've actually featured much of his music. X100 Prey, I think I did. YHLQMD, blah, 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 I did as well. I'm not sure I did El Ultimo to Del Mundo, because I think that was the one that was the first Billboard #1 all in Spanish. There is some English on this album, by the way. Like a line. In Verano Sin T is his fourth studio album, fifth if you count the Oasis album with J Balvin, and he's become the de facto lead of the urban Latin music. I mean, we've had the Omega outlier from Rosalia earlier this year, with the art house prospect from a Catalan woman who is not Spanish enough. Not Latin enough. She's counted as a white man, I think, as far as these things go now. They actually bashed Bad Bunny on this album in the Pitchfork review for not being black enough, even though it's like got so many different sort of ethnic and cultural references going on. They can find he didn't go Dominican black enough, I think was their thing. So anyway, I thought this was fantastic. It's got a great cover. It's got my favourite cover of the year. That heart with the upturned face is so awful. It transcends art. It's actually magnificent. I really liked this the first few times I listened. A few flaws emerged. It's got amazing acclaim. Moscow Mule, the opener, very easy going. A lot of this album is actually really nice and easy to listen to. And Después de la Playa, After the Beach. My Spanish is excellent. That's a wild ride. It just goes nuts, and it shows that he is putting the boat out. It's yet another double album, and he's going headlong into multiple styles here. A lot of club music as well, very hard clubby music at times. As on the third track, TT Me Pregunto. Let's get the track list up so I'm not just randomly saying stuff. Oh, the fourth track, TT Me Pregunto. Where is the title? Yo no soy celoso. That one I picked out as well because it's got this really sort of late 60s Brazilian Tropicalia acoustic strum on it, which I loved, and his whistling hook on it, which is beautiful. Best track so far, I thought. Beck Mutations era. Definitely a modern low-slung update to Tropicalia. I really like that. And then just straight into like really jacking house music. Some of the club music on this album benefits from being hard, and a lot of it benefits from being micro house. What is going on? As a double album of a monstrous 23 tracks, it's paced kind of well because there's lots and lots of high points in the second half. But the biggest flaw here is that those opening 10 tracks are probably a bit drifty and get a bit samey. I found sort of like it sort of took off after Party track 11, really good chopped female vocal sample, bit more dynamic, bit more exciting, and a bit less like the other tracks with that same reggaeton beat going on. But yeah, when he got into the micro house stuff coming up and the indie as well, it was really good. Aguacero, that's got this micro house vibe that crops up about 3 or 4 times in the last 10 tracks, which is fantastic. Who knew that he would ever inhabit that vein? Gets into sort of trap beats and synths with Dos Mil 16, and really hardcore clubbing with El Apagón. But I thought the highlight for me was Ojitos Lindos. This is why I got sucked into Ozuna's music. The hook is the melodically beautiful high point of hooks this year for me in pop music. It's gorgeous. You know, it's like that Quiero Repetir song from Ozuna. It just hooked into me because of the absolutely gorgeous hooks. It was such a good song. One of my favourite pop songs so far this year. But Otro Atardecer is really weird. It's like this really cool indie pop vibe that you might have found on one of the You Forget It in People Broken Social Scene album, or even the Pumpkins at their sort of 1979ist. And a lot of acts sort of that Peter, Bjorn and John sort of vein since. Real indie vibe to it, which I loved, and this very addictive guitar tumble on it, guitar hook, which I loved. Reggae gets in with Mi Fue de Vacaciones. And the title track, I thought, was that and In Excess, Never Tear Us Apart, that stabbing din 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 synth going on in that as a sample. And there's a couple of micro house stuff towards the end as well. Like Luomo and like from Vocal City, Isoli, that sort of thing. Really interested to see him pursue that. That's fantastic. So I would say that the first 10 tracks are a little bit, overall, a bit drab. I thought there was like 2 or 3 tracks that really stood out. But overall, if that were the album, I probably wouldn't have raved about it. It sort of past the 10 track mark, it started to pick up with more consistently exciting music. More memorable. If I listed all the memorable tracks on there, 2 or 3 would be in the first 10 and 6 or 7 would be in the last 10. So I thought it was a little bit uneven on that score. I'll say this: if there's he's a zeitgeist of Latin music. He is like number 1 in the world now. But if there's one thing that he doesn't have, that Ozuna have, like on that Quiero Repetir, that track, he sung that hook so beautifully, and Ozuna sells the song. Like he's got this really romantic, wistful voice. He can do the same kind of full-blooded rapping that Bad Bunny can do. But even J Balvin's got this sort of romantic gruffness to his voice, where their voices sell songs. I wonder if Bad Bunny's singing, which is often auto-tuned, is as memorable as either Ozuna or J Balvin when they get into that mode. And Ozuna certainly has a golden voice. So I don't know if that's missing, because I would say this: of all the great hooks on this album that are sung, they're usually sung by guest artists. So that's an interesting paradigm. Still, very good album. Little bit uneven, a little bit less interesting on the first half of this. Yeah, another double album this year. And some great tracks on the second half. He's obviously in complete control of his domain and happy to try out weird and wonderful, wacky music. And I'd like to see him, like I said with a lot of the albums out this year, if you compiled the 2/3 of the tracks that are the best tracks, you've got a better album every time. So I'm going to give Bad Bunny and Verano Sin Ti a Summer Without You, with the sad heart on the cover. a 7.5 out of 10.